Hello everyone, if you're new here, I'm Alan with Earthglow and this channel is all about sharing the joy of candle making. So I got another bonus video for you all because I know I'm like a 5-year-old. I can't help myself though when it comes to fragrance oils, and you all know this about me. But essentially, I did something kind of selfish. So as you guys know, I don't need more oils in my line, but because of how blown away I have been throughout my testing process of these black tie barn oils, which I've only been testing for like the past week, it's just, I've never had these kinds of results from any other companies. I think one of the things that most is impressive about these oils is when you smell them out of the bottle, and I'll link my 2 videos below where I was doing that with the ones, I don't have all of them, I think I have like 22 of them. But when you smell them out of the bottle and then you smell them in your final product, the character is so consistent. And I cannot tell you, as someone who has made thousands of test candles, I cannot tell you the number of times I've purchased oils and I've been like, oh my God, this is so good. And even ones that I've smelled out of the bottle on the channel, and I put them into candles and I'm just not impressed. They may not have any throw, but they may have some throw, but it's not consistent with the out of the bottle character. Even if it is different, as long as I like it, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But when it totally changes, like for example, I'm just gonna be very transparent with you guys. I have a blend called Yoga Studio, and I blend 2 different oils. One of them is by Candle Science. It's called, I think it's green tea and lemongrass. And then it's a Stone Candles oil called green tea. I do a 50-50 with those. And it's fantastic in wax melts. But I very rarely have offered it in candles because I just feel like when it burns, it doesn't smell the same way. The character really changes. I'd even say that about an oil that does really well for me by Candle Science. It's called Pumpkin Souffle. I sell it as my pumpkin bread candle. If you guys have seen my orange and white vessels that I've had kind of as a limited edition thing the past couple of Octobers, that oil is another one where out of the bottle it smells one way, in a product it smells another way. Now, I will say, my customers tend to really like it in a final product, so I've kept that. Although I may be changing to the Sassy Pumpkin this year for my pumpkin bread because that smells more like a pumpkin bread than anything I have smelled before. It's like a honeyed pumpkin bread almost, but that's too early to determine at this point because I do know the pumpkin bread, or the pumpkin souffle by Candle Science does do well for me. But the Sassy Pumpkin is every bit of what I wanted from that Candle Science oil, but it's more elevated and luxurious smelling, and it's just different. So anyways, what I did, just kind of talking to you all like you're sitting in my living room. And I know you guys don't mind that, but I know I don't have like a format to this video, and I'm sorry, but I just kind of wanted to come on because I don't have anyone to talk to about this stuff. Like, I've had family over just kind of smelling these oils throughout the week because I, no joke, have had more than 3 dozen test candles going. I'm actually testing all of them in 6006, but as I said, I'm using several different wick series. So with 6006, I find the HTP wicks and the Premier wicks do the best. The reason for that is 6006 is a 70 paraffin, 30 soy. And because of the amount of paraffin in it, you do need to make sure that the wicks are small enough that that they don't burn too hot, basically, because it can throw off more soot. And I'll link my video on paraffin, facts versus fiction, as well for you guys, because that is often a misunderstood topic. A lot of people think, oh, paraffin wax brings out all this soot. No, it can. It can be more prone to it if you don't know how to wick it. Anyway, different story for a different day. But what I wanted to say here is, so essentially today I purchased, I think it was 5 or 6. I gotta look at my phone here to see which ones now that it was. I think it was 6 different oils. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm just looking at my phone here. I purchased the Tobacco Luxe, the Dark Dahlia, the Sacred Fog, which you guys has to be my #1. It's everything I wanted from Kathmandu and didn't get. You all know that's one of my favorite oils. I love a true to life Palo Santo note. And I did look like on the fragrance notes of that one, and it doesn't say that, but I'm telling you, as someone who's sold that wood for so long, it comes from Peru, it's a very distinctive scent. That oil not only smells high-end, but it has a true-to-life Palo Santo note, and if you love like Kathmandu, Alistair, that kind of thing, you are going to be blown away by the Sacred Fog. I mean, it's more Kathmandu-esque, right? It has, I'm trying to think of the one by Candle Science that's sort of similar. I don't know. I'll put the name on the screen, but it reminds me of that. But this one is much more high-end smelling. And that comes from someone who's, as I've said, I've smelled a lot of high-end fragrances. I'm obsessed with a lot of high-end fragrances. My nose can detect that like a dog with a bone when something is high-end. And anyway, so that is an oil that I'm just obsessed with. I bought that one. I bought the Dark Dahlia, the Graveyard. Oh my God, you guys, the Graveyard. I actually have my tester burning back here. Let me see if I can show you a little bit. I'm gonna actually, if you guys want, post more footage, because I did try to record just basically going through my whole process with wicking and everything, with a lot of my testers that I made, kind of showing, okay, when I get this, then this is kind of what I'm thinking, and kind of, okay, this is where I would go from here, if this, then that kind of thing. Just going through kind of the nitty gritty of my process, but I'm kind of apprehensive to post it because the audio quality isn't that good. I was just recording on my phone because, again, I've had several dozen of these going throughout the week, and I've also been working my own business, which, as you all know, is like a 60-hour-a-week commitment, and I just haven't had time to like use, you know, my proper camera and microphone and all of it. But if you guys still want to see that footage, let me know and I will post it. But this is what the Graveyard is looking like right now. I don't think I can really show too well, but it's been going for about 2 hours. I can't really tip the jar very well on the camera, but you can just see how beautiful it is. The scent throw is phenomenal, you guys, phenomenal. True to the out of the bottle character, but then you also just get this really rich, like, oh, it smells like potting soil as much as it does smell like a graveyard at night, like under the moon, where there's kind of like this fogginess to it, and it's mysterious, it's high end, and it's just eccentric. I mean, it's a really niche oil. And so anyways, I'm getting distracted here, but yeah, this one's doing really good with the HTP wicks. I have kind of a baseline that I'll use for the HTP and the Premier Wick series with 6006. I have much more experience with HTP wicks with this wax. Premiers are newer to me. I probably only made 50 test candles, for example, with Premier wicks and 6006, but there's something that I'm continuing to test out. I actually threw some of those on my order from Black Tie Barn as well. I just wanted to see. I think that they all get them from the same probably supplier, but I just wanted to see because I know there can be little nuances. Anyways, so yeah, so I got the Graveyard, and then I also got the Bandit, and I know that's his #1 bestseller. I got to show you guys my absolute favorite cologne that I had been wanting, I kid you not, to make into a fragrance oil for so long, like this exact scent, and I'm gonna go get it for you so you can see what it is. Actually, let me go do that right now. So this is my favorite cologne of all time, or one of them. It kind of ties with Fahrenheit by Dior for me. But anyways, when you burn the Bandit, I kid you not, it smells like the candle version of this. Like, it's not a dupe by any means. So just to describe the scent to you, it's kind of woody, it's earthy, it has some spice notes to it. It's not cinnamon-like at all. It just smells really high end, and it has this kind of, I would say, fresh component to it as well. You definitely get some citrus notes, you definitely get kind of this organic character, but it's also just something that whoever's wearing this, you want to be around. And that's exactly how the Bandit is in a candle. And I'm telling you all, the scent does not play when it comes to hot throw. I've tested it now in both 6006 with the HTP Wick series and the Premier Wick series. I'm thinking of, I'm not sure how I'm gonna share exactly. I think what I'll do is for exact wicking that I decide on, like for my own business, because I can't help but bring some of these into my signature line. And I'm gonna talk to you guys more about that in a minute. But I think I will post like my exact formulas on my Patreon that I settle on. But what I want to tell you is kind of like my baselines for these. And usually with like this 3.5-inch jar, I'll kind of baseline at 2 Premier 740s. And I'm going to show more testing footage if you guys want that too. Please let me know, because I did take a lot of it. It's just not the best camera footage because it's coming from my cell phone and it's not good audio quality, but it will kind of show what I'm looking for throughout my testing process. Anyways, I kind of got off there, but yeah, so I've been testing it with 2 different wick series and the fragrance oils, and I've just found overall that they throw really well, they burn really well, and more than anything, the hot throw, I haven't had any that would be less than a 4 out of 5, which is really unheard of for me. So then I also bought the Twisted Pumpkin, and I'm looking at my receipt here. I bought, yeah, the Twisted Pumpkin, which you guys, that scent literally reminds me of my childhood. It literally does. Like being at Jolly Orchards, picking apples, getting on the hayride after you picked your apples. And then we would always go in, my mom, my dad, and my sister, we would go into the like little area where they make cider and they make donuts. I don't think they make the donuts there, but we would sit there and we would eat the donuts and then drink our hot cider. And then sometimes we also made caramel apples in there. Anyways, then after that, we would go into the haunted house. And the haunted house took another hayride to get to. So basically, we would do that. And this is when the sun's like coming down in the sky. This is during October, and I'm from the Midwest. So our skies in October are like the most beautiful pastel colors. And I'm here to tell you all, like the weather and everything, you just kind of get this coolness to the sky and to the air. And you can almost smell like the hay and a little bit of sweetness as well. But it's combined with that mystery because we're about to go in the haunted house. So anyways, we take another hayride and we go to the haunted house. And of course, for me personally, right when I get to the door, I don't want to go any further because I already see there's like a skeleton playing the piano and I hear all this music that sounds like it comes from Phantom of the Opera, like the theme music. And everything's just getting really dark and kind of eerie. And it's very just kind of mysterious and dim, but it's a little too much for me. So I usually hang outside with my mom. And my sister and dad would go in there. And I was always afraid they weren't going to come out the other end, but they did. Anyways, that is the Twisted Pumpkin for me in a nutshell. It also reminds me, so my mother used to go to, it's in New Carlisle, Indiana. It's a store called Department 56, and they basically sold what are called village pieces. I don't know if you all know what that is, but they're like little glass structures, and she would always put together these villages we used to have this really big dining room, and there was like this kind of buffet counter thing. And she would always, for every holiday, put together like a display. And for Halloween, that was always my favorite. She would do like fiber optic stuff and then all these like glass Department 56 village pieces. And anyways, yeah, the picture that he has on that fragrance oil reminds me so much of just like literally my childhood. But I'm here to tell you, it also has this really fun, just bad, I'm not gonna say it, adult character to it. Like none of these oils are immature. That's the thing that gets me with them. Like they remind me of my childhood. I grew up in the Yankee Candle stores, for those of you who don't know. My mom was obsessed with candles. We had multiple candle cupboards, but she was most obsessed with Yankee. And anyways, yeah, I spent my life in there. And I didn't like it as a kid. I was always like, come on, because the scent was so overwhelming. They had all these different fragrances at the same time. Anyways, so, but it's funny, now I'm a candle maker, right? But, yeah, so it reminds me of just all that, and it brings so much joy, just burning that scent. I cannot even tell you. That's one of the things I've noticed when I've been testing his fragrances, is they bring me so much joy. And maybe that's just selfish to say, but I have never enjoyed making test candles as much as I have with Black Tie Barn fragrances. It's a piece of my childhood, and it's also like the most sensual, exotic, adult fragrances that will take you somewhere. And to me, if you guys don't know, my Wanderlust collection is my best-selling collection, and it's inspired by culture, nature, architecture, and Zen. And those fragrances have the primary goal of taking the person who has the candle to that location, a city or region that it represents. And so I think with a lot of his oils, you could kind of brand them that way too if you have more of a destination type collection. For me personally though, what I'm planning on doing, I think I went over everything. No, I bought the Tobacco Luxe as well. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that has to be one of the best kind of tobacco fragrances. It's very citrusy. It's very like lemony citrusy, but there's something that's so sensual about it and high-end smelling about it. I think it's a Tom Ford fragrance that it reminds me of. I can't think of the name of it right now. I don't remember if it was inspired by something. I'm gonna have to double check on the website, but it's so good, you guys. And the Hot Throw does not disappoint. I think that one I'm preferring with Premier Wicks to HTPs. HTP wicks, I should do a video kind of talking about them. They're a whole nother animal in terms of the bend and the lean. I know a lot of you have kind of been frustrated with that, and I'm totally with you. HTP wicks have a tendency to kind of lean, and the reason for that is they are self-trimming, but they don't have quite the rigidity that a CDN wick or a Premier wick would have. Is what I find, because CDN wicks, for example, they're coated with a high melt point natural wax, and that kind of helps them to stay more rigid. Premier wicks, I believe, are just a cotton wick without a paper filament, which CDN wicks and HTP wicks both have a paper woven kind of filament throughout them, which also causes them to burn a little bit hotter. So anyways, that fragrance in particular, I do enjoy more with Premier wicks. I think it just worked a little bit better for me. Anyways, you guys, the last thing I want to say kind of is regarding the names of these scents. So I was thinking of putting them in my signature collection. Oh my God, and then the Dark Dahlia. You guys, I don't like florals. I do not like florals. You all know that, I think. Like, I shouldn't say I don't like them. There are very few florals that I like. And even the ones that I do like, I won't burn in my own home. There are more fragrances that I'm like, oh yeah, customers will really like that. This particular floral, I would burn in my own home, in my own bedroom, in my own workspace, because I'm that obsessed with it. It is not a headache-inducing floral. Sorry, I'm getting some messages. It's not a headache-inducing floral whatsoever. It is more of a, like I said, if you ever played Clue as a kid, sorry, cell phone. If you ever played Clue as a kid and you knew that character, Mrs. Scarlet, I think her name was, she wore the red dress and she had the dark hair. And I always wanted that for my character. When I was playing that game, I was very, very intrigued with that character. That reminds me of something that she would wear. She had a very long, kind of form-fitting red dress. That fragrance embodies the color scarlet more than any other fragrance I've smelled in my life. And I have to tell you, it is my favorite floral, personally. And I will, I mean, if anything, be just burning it for myself. But here's what I kind of want to do. I was thinking of putting these in my signature collection, partly because I've been testing them in the jars that I'm using for that collection. And they have the engraved bamboo lids. I might end up getting some more colors as well in the future. I'm not really sure. I have mixed feelings about that. I've been playing around with like the amber jars and there's a couple other ones. I have a smoke gray one. And to me, I am kind of a 5-year-old at heart where I like that, you know, like when I do concrete jars, I always color them to match kind of whatever the fragrance is. But I think for right now, what I want to do is put them in the signature collection, but regarding the names of the scents. So basically that is where I'm having trouble because I feel like a lot of the branding that Black Tie Barn has on the fragrances, I like so much that I wouldn't want to change. The other thing I'm thinking of is if you guys were interested in trying like a final product with these particular fragrances, if you're like, hey, I'm kind of on the fence about this oil, I really wonder what it smells like in a candle that, you know, is made by someone who's made a lot of candles before, because I know a lot of you are kind of newer at that and you're still learning, and I know you all are going to stick with it and be really fantastic candle makers. It's more of persistence than anything. And that's kind of how science classes go too. You're constantly recording notes and testing things and seeing what does what. And if you stick with that long enough, you will become very successful at this craft. But anyways, I was thinking of just keeping the names the same. Partly because I really, really, really like his branding. I love the simplicity of it, and there's something about that simplicity that also, to me, conveys a high-end appeal and a simplistic, just kind of appeal that it's open for your interpretation too. Like it's not quite so committed to one particular name, if that makes sense. I mean, it is, but the names are open to suggestion as well. A lot of the candles that I have in my signature collection are specifically geared from my hometown, and just I grew up in St. Joe, Michigan, if you guys aren't familiar, and it's a small town on the lake, on Lake Michigan. And so my mom always loved the beach, and my dad was always grilling and doing all kinds of stuff outside. And so I spent my life on the beach and outside as a kid. And so anyways, that's kind of how that collection is geared. But I just feel like these incorporate my childhood and my background in a different way. And some of them, like the Dark Dahlia, I mean, it doesn't really incorporate my childhood, but it does in a sense that we always played Clue. And that literally is like Mrs. Scarlet embodied, like she's impersoned in that candle and in that fragrance. So anyways, guys, let me know how you feel about that. Like I'm thinking of bringing them into the signature collection and just those 6 oils that I mentioned for now, and there may be more. I'm still going through testing all the different ones to see what I like best, and I'm just so excited. Anyways, that's about all I got for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. Leave me a comment down below if you have any particular favorites. I'd love to test them out and see how I like them myself. Anyways, sending all of you peace, love, and light, and I'm wishing all of you happy candle making. I would like to take the time to thank my patrons for their incredible support.
Trusting your instincts, realize that knowing looks different to each. When living authentic, do more exploring, deeper than knowing just what is essential for life that is thriving. Go deep, mute out the chatter, feel it, burn off the fire, let go until there's peace to your core. Live a life you adore. Silence the noise away from the program, removing performance, true self, all that's standing. Live free from worry, live by just being. Power in finding your wholeness in now. Go deep, mute out the chatter, feel it, burn off the fire, let go until there's peace to your core. Live a life you adore. Live a life you adore.
Keep being yourself. Stay authentic at all costs. And never lose your spark. Because that's what makes your brand uniquely you. I see you. I'm rooting for you. And I know you have what it takes to be successful and to have fun with this craft. Until next time, happy candle making.